The stars shone brightly against the deep black of space as the UES Horizon approached Jupiter's orbit. Commander William Hayes stood at the bridge viewport, his weathered face reflecting both excitement and concern. After years of sending signals into space, humanity had finally received an answer. "Commander, the alien vessel is approaching," said Communications Officer Lisa Green, her voice steady despite the historical significance of the moment. Hayes nodded. "All stations, remain calm. Remember your training." The Horizon was Earth's finest spacecraft, built after decades of international cooperation. Its crew represented the best of humanity. Scientists, diplomats, and military personnel chosen for this first official contact with extraterrestrial life. Dr. Olivia Martinez joined Hayes at the viewport. As Earth's leading xenobiologist, she had spent her career preparing for this moment. "Look at the size of it," she whispered as the Council ship came into view. The alien vessel dwarfed the Horizon, its sleek design unlike anything humans had built. Its surface gleamed with a metallic blue sheen that seemed to shift colors as it moved. "They could destroy us in seconds," said Lieutenant Daniel Jackson, the mission's linguist. "Let's hope they're as interested in talking as we are." The communication system chimed. Hayes took a deep breath and pressed the response button. "This is Commander William Hayes of the United Earth Space Force. We come in peace and friendship." There was a brief pause before the reply came through. The alien voice processed through Jackson's translation software. "Earth vessel, this is High Arbiter Xalvosh of the Galactic Council. Your presence is acknowledged. Prepare for docking procedures." The crew exchanged nervous glances. Their mission parameters hadn't included docking with the alien ship. "Sir," Security Chief Alan Foster whispered, "I advise caution." Hayes considered his options. Refusing might be seen as hostile, but accepting posed unknown risks. "High Arbiter," Hayes replied, "we accept your invitation." 4 hours later, Hayes led a small delegation through the Council ship's massive docking bay. Dr. Martinez recorded everything on her datapad, while Jackson listened carefully to perfect his translation algorithm. The aliens waited for them, a group of 5 different species standing together. The apparent leader, Salvosh, towered over the humans. His purple skin was covered in what looked like geometric patterns, and his 4 eyes tracked every movement the humans made. "You have developed faster than light communication, much sooner than expected," Salvosh said, his mouth not moving as the words came through the humans' earpieces. "Most species require another century after discovering nuclear power." Hayes maintained a diplomatic smile. "Humans have always been quick learners." The meeting continued for hours as both sides exchanged basic information. The Council, Hayes learned, governed hundreds of spacefaring species across thousands of star systems. Humanity was being evaluated for potential membership, a process that usually took decades. What Hayes couldn't see was the private communication happening between the Council members. They developed too quickly, one whispered through their neural link. "The aggression in their history is concerning," said another. "Remember the Krell incident." Zalvosh silenced them with a thought. "We will follow protocol. Observe first, decide later." As the human delegation prepared to return to their ship, Salvosh presented Hayes with a small device. "A gift," the alien said. "This will allow direct communication between your leaders and the Council." Hayes accepted it gratefully. "We look forward to learning from you." Back aboard the Horizon, as they pulled away from the massive Council ship, Dr. Martinez studied her readings. "Their technology is centuries beyond ours," she said, "but they seemed concerned about something." Hayes nodded, watching the alien vessel through the viewport. "Let's hope we made a good first impression." He didn't know that the device they received contained more than just communication technology. It was also scanning and reporting everything about Earth's defenses. The Council had already classified humanity as a potential threat, and the Galactic Council had very specific protocols for dealing with threats. 3 months passed quickly. Earth buzzed with excitement about the alien contact. News channels played the same footage of the council ship over and over. Children drew pictures of aliens in school. Scientists studied the few pieces of technology the council had shared. Commander Hayes sat in his office at the United Earth Space Force headquarters in Geneva, reviewing reports for the second diplomatic mission. The first contact had gone well, and now a dozen human scientists were visiting the council's central station near Alpha Centauri. "Everything looks good," Hayes told Dr. Martinez as she entered his office. "The UES Horizon is refueled and ready for our departure tomorrow. I can't wait to see their medical facilities," Martine said, her eyes bright with excitement. "Their understanding of genetics must be incredible." The comm system on Hayes' desk beeped urgently. "Commander, emergency transmission from Lunar Base. Multiple unknown vessels just entered Earth orbit." Hayes and Martinez rushed to the command center. The large screen showed 15 massive ships surrounding Earth, council vessels, but not the diplomatic ones they had met before. These were angular, threatening. "Try to contact them," Hayes ordered. Before anyone could act, every screen in the command center switched to show High Arbiter Salvos. His purple face showed no emotion. "People of Earth," Salvos announced, "the Galactic Council has completed its assessment of your species. Humanity has been classified as excessively aggressive with dangerous expansion tendencies. For the safety of the galaxy, containment protocols are now in effect." "What does that mean?" Hayes demanded, but the transmission was one way. "This is not a negotiation," Salvos continued. "Resistance will result in escalation of containment measures." The screens went black. Seconds later, the building shook as explosions erupted across the city. "Report," Hayes shouted over the alarms. "They're targeting military bases worldwide." "Sir, Sydney Command Center is gone. Moscow Defense Headquarters destroyed. Beijing Spaceport hit. Casualties in the millions already." Hayes made a quick decision. "Order all available ships to launch immediately. We need to save what we can." He turned to Martinez. "Doctor, we need to get to the horizon now. Earth's defenses won't hold against this level of technology." They raced through chaos to reach the spaceport. Buildings collapsed around them as the council ships fired with terrifying precision. The sky turned red with fire and smoke. At the spaceport, Lieutenant Jackson was already preparing the horizon for emergency launch. "I've loaded as many supplies as possible," Jackson reported as Hayes and Martinez boarded. "And I picked up 27 survivors on my way here." The ship trembled as nearby explosions rocked the ground. Hayes took command of the bridge. "Get us to Mars," he ordered. "The old mining colonies there should provide shelter until we figure out our next move." The horizon lifted off, accelerating hard through the atmosphere. Through the viewport, they watched in horror as council ships methodically destroyed Earth's defenses. Other human ships tried to fight back, but their weapons barely scratched the alien vessels. "They never intended peaceful contact," Martinez said quietly, watching a human destroyer break apart under alien fire. "They were assessing our threat level. And finding our weaknesses," Hayes added grimly. As they approached Mars orbit, Jackson monitored Earth communications. "It's over, sir," he reported, his voice breaking. "Most major military installations are destroyed. Council ground forces are landing in major cities. The President and Joint Chiefs are presumed dead." Hayes looked at the frightened faces of his crew and the civilians they had rescued. "This isn't over," he said firmly. "They attacked us without provocation. They killed millions without warning. But they made a mistake." "What's that, sir?" asked a young engineer, wiping tears from her face. "They didn't kill us all," Hayes answered. "And as long as humans survive, we will fight back." The horizon disappeared into the shadow of Mars, carrying the first members of what would become humanity's resistance. 1 year after the invasion, Mars Colony Base Alpha hummed with activity. What began as an abandoned mining facility had transformed into humanity's last stronghold. Commander Hayes stood before a makeshift map of the solar system, red dots marking council outposts. Another supply ship landed in Denver yesterday, reported Lieutenant Jackson, now thinner and bearing a scar across his left cheek. He had just returned from 6 months undercover on Earth. They're moving something from the mountains, possibly uranium. Hayes nodded grimly. Add it to the target list. The resistance had grown from the original 27 survivors to nearly 400. Some were military personnel who escaped Earth. Others were civilians rescued from labor camps. All shared the same burning desire, to reclaim their home. Dr. Martinez entered the command room, excitement visible on her tired face. "Commander, you need to see this." She led Hayes and Jackson to her lab, where a council communication device lay disassembled on her workbench. "I've been studying their tech for months," she explained, "and I found something interesting. Their systems operate on a quantum frequency we never considered. That's why their shields seem impenetrable." She pointed to a small crystal component. "But this is their weakness. Their technology is built to withstand direct energy attacks, but not specific electromagnetic frequencies. We can disrupt their systems." Hayes leaned forward. "Can we use this to fight back?" "Better," Martinez smiled. "We can use it to take control of their ships." Across the room, a young woman spoke up. "I can build a device that generates those frequencies." This was Susan Clark, formerly an engineer for NASA, rescued 3 months ago from a council labor camp. For the first time in months, hope flickered in Hayes' eyes. Later that night, Jackson briefed the command team on his Earth intelligence network. "We have cells operating in 12 former major cities," he explained. "Small groups, 5 to 8 people each. They're gathering intel, sabotaging when possible." "What's the situation on Earth?" asked Hayes. Jackson's face darkened. "Bad. They've divided Earth into mining sectors. Humans are used as labor. Those who resist disappear. But something doesn't add up." He pulled out a stolen council datapad. According to this, the council never sanctioned a full-scale invasion. The official record shows Earth was scheduled for observation and gradual integration over 50 years. "Then why attack us?" Martinez questioned. "Resources," Jackson replied. "Earth has something they want badly. My sources indicate the Thraxi, Salvash's species, pushed for the invasion against council protocols." Hayes processed this information. "So the whole council isn't against us, just the Thraxi faction?" "Potentially," Jackson nodded. "And that gives us an opportunity." A commotion outside interrupted them. Hayes rushed out to see a battered council scout ship landing on their makeshift runway. "Hold fire," he ordered as resistance fighters aimed their weapons. The ship's hatch opened, and a human woman staggered out, hands raised. "Don't shoot. I stole it." 3 days later, the resistance gathered around the captured council ship. The woman who stole it, Maria Boyd, had been a pilot before the invasion. "Their navigation system contains the locations of every council outpost in our system," she explained. "And their communication codes." Hayes turned to Martinez. "Can we use their communication system?" "Yes," Martinez replied. "We can listen to their transmissions, maybe even send false orders." For the first time, Hayes allowed himself to smile. "Then we have a chance, not just to survive, but to fight back." He addressed the gathered resistance members. 1 year ago, the council thought they could crush humanity in a single day. They thought we would surrender or die. They were wrong. He placed his hand on the stolen council ship. "With this, we can hit them where it hurts. We can show them that attacking Earth was the biggest mistake they ever made." The resistance cheered, the sound echoing through the Martian base, a sound the council never expected to hear. Humans planning their counterattack. 2 years into the occupation, Mars Base Alpha had transformed from a desperate hideout into a military headquarters. Commander Hayes studied the holographic display showing Jupiter and its moons. The largest, Europa, glowed with a red marker. "Our intel is solid," Lieutenant Jackson said, pointing to a structure on Europa's icy surface. "The Council has converted the old research station into a testing facility. They're holding at least 200 humans there. Hayes nodded grimly. What kind of testing? The worst kind, Jackson replied. They're studying human physiology, pain thresholds, how we respond to their weapons. Dr. Martinez entered, carrying data tablets. The scout ship we captured last month confirms it. They're developing weapons specifically designed to work against humans. Hayes made his decision. We strike in 36 hours. Jackson, you'll lead the ground team. Martinez, your medical team needs to be ready for survivors in bad condition. The raid on Europa was humanity's boldest move yet. 3 stolen council ships, modified with Martinez's disruption technology, approached the research facility under the cover of a radiation storm. Jackson led 20 resistance fighters through the facility's service tunnels. The alien guards fell quickly, their communication systems scrambled by Martinez's device. Cell block ahead, Jackson whispered into his comm. Heavy security. Inside the main lab, they found scenes of horror. Humans in various states of suffering, some barely recognizable after council experiments. Get them out, Jackson ordered. All of them. One woman caught his attention. Despite her weakened state, she was trying to download data from a council terminal. What are you doing? Jackson asked, helping her stand. Taking their research, she replied, her voice hoarse. I'm Catherine Wilson. I was the lead engineer at NASA's propulsion lab before the invasion. They've been forcing me to work on their ships. Jackson helped her grab the data. Did you learn anything useful? Catherine's eyes lit up despite her condition. Everything. Their entire propulsion system, their weapons, their shields, and I found their weakness. Back on Mars, Hayes greeted the returning ships. The medical bay overflowed with rescued humans, but morale soared. For the first time, they had struck a real blow against the Council. Catherine Wilson recovered quickly and joined Martinez's research team. Within weeks, they had a breakthrough. Their entire technology is based on quantum field manipulation, Catherine explained to Hayes. But they never developed conventional electronic countermeasures because they never needed to. She held up a small device. This simple EMP, modified to work at their operating frequency, can disable their systems completely. Martinez continued, I've developed it into a virus that can spread through their network. One infected ship could pass it to every council vessel it communicates with. Hayes couldn't believe it. You're saying we can disable their entire fleet? Potentially, Catherine nodded. They never expected humans to understand their tech so quickly. They underestimated us. Meanwhile, Jackson's resistance cells on Earth launched coordinated attacks on Council command centers. Using the stolen communication codes, they sent false orders to Council ships, causing confusion and chaos. Reports reached Mars that several Council outposts had been abandoned. The aliens were pulling back, consolidating their forces. Hayes called a meeting of the resistance leadership. Something's changed. The Council is retreating from positions they've held since the invasion. Martinez showed the latest intelligence. They're protecting their supply lines. They never expected a prolonged conflict. Their resources are stretching thin. For the first time, Hayes allowed himself to voice what everyone was thinking. They're vulnerable. Catherine Wilson stepped forward. I finished the prototype hybrid drive. It combines their quantum field technology with our fusion systems. We can make our ships faster than theirs. Hayes looked around at the faces of his team, tired but determined. The resistance had grown from a handful of survivors to thousands spread across the solar system. What began as a fight for survival had become something else, a real chance to win. Prepare all combat-ready ships, Hayes ordered. It's time to take the fight to them. 3 years after the invasion, the resistance fleet gathered in the shadow of Saturn's rings. Commander Hayes walked through the hangar of their largest ship, now renamed the Defiance. What once was a stolen Council vessel had been transformed with Catherine Wilson's modifications, its sleek alien lines now bristling with human-designed weapons. Final systems check complete, Catherine reported, closing an access panel. The hybrid drives are performing better than expected. We'll be faster than anything the Council has. Hayes nodded. How many ships are ready? 15 with the hybrid drives. Another 20 with the virus delivery systems, Catherine answered. Dr. Martinez has the virus loaded and ready for deployment. The plan was bold but simple. The Council had established their main supply depot in the Kuiper Belt, far from Earth but within our solar system. From there, they controlled all resources flowing to their occupation forces. All ship commanders report to the bridge, Hayes ordered through his comm. It's time. On the bridge, the atmosphere was tense but focused. The assembled commanders, all survivors of Earth's fall, stood around the holographic display showing their target. The Council supply depot processes all fuel and weapons for their Earth occupation, Hayes explained. Our intel shows minimal defenses. They don't expect any attack this far out. Lieutenant Jackson pointed to key locations on the display. My Earth teams will launch diversionary attacks on 3 major Council bases at exactly the same time. Their communications will be focused on Earth, giving us our window. Dr. Martinez stepped forward. The virus is ready. Once we're in range, it will spread through their communication network, disabling their weapons and shields. But we'll only have about 20 minutes before their systems adapt. Hayes looked at the determined faces around him. This isn't just about destroying their supplies. This is about showing them that humans are not beaten, that we can hit them anywhere. The fleet departed Saturn's orbit, their modified engines leaving trails of blue-white energy that quickly faded into the blackness of space. For hours, they accelerated silently toward their target. Council depot in range. The sensor operator announced. No indication they've detected us. Hayes gave the order. Launch the virus. Dr. Martinez activated her console. Virus away, spreading through their network. Now, on the view screen, they watched as lights across the massive Council station flickered and died. Defensive weapons that had begun to activate suddenly went dark. All ships, attack pattern Delta, Hayes commanded. Target their fuel processing sections first. The human fleet surged forward. The Defiance led the charge, its hybrid weapons firing bursts of energy that cut through the station's suddenly vulnerable hull. Council ships scrambled to respond, but without their shields and with weapons failing, they were no match for the prepared human vessels. Catherine's hybrid drives allowed the human ships to dance around the larger alien vessels. Their reinforcements are coming in from the outer system, Jackson warned. 6 heavy cruisers, 10 minutes out. Hayes nodded. Concentrate fire on the main storage tanks. Once those blow, we pull back. The battle raged fiercely. 2 human ships were lost, but the Council losses were devastating. When the main fuel reserves finally exploded, the blast was visible as a new star in the distant sky. All ships returned to base, Hayes ordered as the Council reinforcements approached. Mission accomplished. As the fleet raced back toward Saturn, the bridge crew of the Defiance watched the burning remains of the Council depot fade into the distance. What happens now? Catherine asked quietly. Hayes looked at the tactical display showing Council forces across the solar system suddenly cut off from supplies and reinforcements. Now we take back Earth, he answered. They thought they crushed us. They thought we would just accept defeat. Dr. Martinez smiled for the first time in months. They never understood humans. No, Hayes agreed, watching as reports came in from Earth about Council forces abandoning outlying bases. And that was their biggest mistake. The counterattack had succeeded beyond their expectations. For the first time since the invasion, humanity had seized the initiative. The path to Earth's liberation had begun. 4 years after first contact, Earth breathed free air again. The last Council occupation forces had retreated from the planet 3 months ago, unable to maintain their hold without supply lines. From the window of the rebuilt Geneva headquarters, Commander Hayes watched children playing in a park that had once been a Council landing zone. Hard to believe, Lieutenant Jackson said, joining him at the window. A year ago, We were still fighting block by block to take back New York. Hayes nodded. But this isn't over. Our long-range scouts report massive fleet movements near Neptune. The Council is gathering forces. They moved to the war room, where Dr. Martins and Catherine Wilson were already waiting. A holographic display showed the outer solar system, with a large red cluster representing Council ships. They're preparing to return with everything they have, Hayes said. Our sources estimate over 200 warships. We can't win that battle. Not here. Catherine pointed to the display. Then we need to strike first, somewhere they don't expect. Exactly, Hayes agreed. He pressed a button, and the display shifted to show a star system 12 light-years away. This is Epsilon Eridani, location of the Council's central hub. Our intelligence comes from the regional governor we captured during the liberation of New York. Dr. Martinez looked shocked. You want to attack their home station? That's suicide. Not attack, Hayes clarified. Not immediately. The governor revealed something important. Many Council species opposed the invasion of Earth. The decision was pushed through by the Thraxi faction, led by High Arbiter Xalvosh. Jackson leaned forward. During my undercover work, I learned their language and politics. There's growing unrest in the Council. Several species believe the attack on Earth violated their own laws. Hayes continued, if we can reach the Council hub with evidence of the Thraxi deception, we might find allies. And if we don't? Catherine asked. Hayes' expression hardened. Then we make them pay for what they did to Earth. The plan took shape quickly. Earth's remaining military vessels were combined with modified Council ships captured during the liberation. Catherine's hybrid propulsion technology was installed in 50 vessels, creating the first true human space fleet. Dr. Martinez developed a new weapon based on her virus technology. It doesn't just disrupt their systems now, she explained. It can completely bypass their shields by matching the exact frequency. The governor, kept in a high-security facility since his capture, provided crucial information about Council defense protocols and the layout of their central hub. 2 weeks later, the human fleet gathered at Pluto's orbit, far from Council scout ships. This will be the longest faster-than-light jump ever attempted by humans, Catherine told the assembled ship captains. The coordinates must be exact, or we'll emerge inside a star or planet. Hayes addressed the fleet. What we do today will determine humanity's future. We've been fighting for survival. Now we fight for justice. The fleet prepared for departure. Hayes stood on the bridge of the flagship, now named the Avenger. Dr. Martinez and Catherine had insisted on joining the mission, their expertise potentially crucial for success. Council forces have begun their approach to Earth orbit, Jackson reported. They'll reach attack position in approximately 48 hours. Hayes gave the order. All ships, initiate jump sequence. Next stop, Epsilon Eridani. The human fleet vanished in flashes of blue light, leaving our solar system for the first time. The journey took 20 hours, a testament to Catherine's hybrid drive technology. When they emerged, the massive Council hub station filled their view screens, a gigantic wheel-shaped structure surrounded by hundreds of ships. They've detected us, Jackson reported. Council ships are moving to intercept. Hayes took a deep breath. Open a channel to the station. All frequencies, all languages. The moment of truth had arrived. Humanity had brought the fight to the enemy's doorstep. Now they would learn if they faced more war or the possibility of justice. This is Commander William Hayes of Earth. He began as the channel opened. And we've come for the truth. The massive Council hub loomed before the human fleet. Hundreds of alien ships moved into defensive positions, weapons charging. On the bridge of the Avenger, Commander Hayes stood tall despite the overwhelming odds. Channel open to all Council species, Lieutenant Jackson confirmed. They're listening. Hayes took a deep breath. This is Commander William Hayes of Earth. We come not only as warriors, but as accusers. The attack on Earth was not sanctioned by your full Council, but was a deception by the Thraxi leadership. We have proof. He nodded to Dr. Martinez, who transmitted the files taken from the captured governor. Video evidence, internal memos, and resource surveys, all showing the same truth. Earth was attacked for its rare minerals, not because humans were deemed dangerous. Council vessels are holding position, Catherine reported, surprise in her voice. They're not attacking. The main screen flickered to life, showing an alien Hayes had never seen before. Four armed with golden skin and eyes that reflected light like mirrors. I am Elder Loriax of the Ventari Collective, the alien said. Your accusations are grave. High Arbiter Xalvosh denies all charges. Then let him face us directly, Hayes challenged. Let all council species hear both sides. For tense minutes, nothing happened. Then multiple alien faces appeared on the screen, representatives from different council species. The full council will hear this matter, Loriax announced. Prepare to send representatives to the hub. Jackson leaned close to Hayes. It could be a trap, or our only chance for peace, Hayes replied. I'll go. The rest of you be ready for anything. A small shuttle carried Hayes, Martinez, Catherine, and Jackson to the massive station. Inside, the Grand Council chamber stretched before them. Hundreds of different alien species seated in rising circles, with High Arbiter Xalvosh on a central platform. The humans bring false accusations, Xalvosh began, his purple skin darkening with anger. Their species was properly assessed as dangerous. Hayes stepped forward. Play the governor's confession. The chamber fell silent as the recording played. The captured governor admitting the invasion was planned to secure Earth's uranium and rare element deposits that the Thraxi desperately needed for their technology. Earth was never a threat, Hayes declared. We had barely reached our own moon when you first observed us. The Thraxi wanted our resources and used the Council's rules to take them. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Several Council species began arguing among themselves. The evidence is clear, Elder Loriax announced. The invasion of Earth violated our most sacred principles. Xalvosh snarled. Humans are still dangerous. Look, they stand before us with weapons. We came armed because you gave us no choice, Hayes responded, but now I offer you one. He stepped toward Xalvosh, removing his weapon and setting it down. Justice or revenge. That's the choice before us all. The chamber grew quiet. You murdered millions of my people. You destroyed our cities. You enslaved survivors. Hayes continued, now standing directly before Xalvosh. By any human standard, you deserve death. He paused, his hand trembling slightly before steadying. But we want to be better than that. We choose justice. Xalvosh must stand trial for war crimes, reparations must be paid to Earth, and humanity must be welcomed as equals in the Council. Elder Loriax and other Council leaders conferred briefly. We accept these terms. Xalvosh will face judgment under Council law. As security forces surrounded the High Arbiter, Hayes turned to address the full Council. Remember this day, not because humans brought an armada to your doorstep, but because when given the choice between destruction and peace, we chose peace. 1 month later, Hayes stood on a balcony overlooking Geneva. The city was being rebuilt, with Council technology now freely shared. Ships from a dozen alien species orbited Earth, bringing aid and opening trade. Was it worth it? Dr. Martinez asked, joining him. Hayes watched children playing below, some human, some alien. 4 years of fighting. Millions lost. But yes, we saved more than Earth. We might have saved the Council from itself. In the night sky above, stars twinkled with new meaning. No longer just distant lights, but homes to species that humans now called allies and friends. They made a brutal mistake, Hayes said quietly. But from it came understanding. That's humanity's true victory.